What's up, you guys? I'm back here with another true crime video, and today I am going to be talking about a case in Poland known as the skin case. And this case is really disturbing in some ways, so I'm just giving out a fair warning for that right now. But let's get into the case. Now, the reason that this is called the skin case is because the remains that were found were just pieces of her skin at first trapped in a boat propeller. On a cold winter morning on January 6th or 7th in 1999, tugboat operator Miroslav M. opened the hatch to take a look at his propeller for something that was stuck in there since the previous night. He was expecting to find either a tire or a tree branch or something else along that nature, but instead he found an object of undescript, pale, and sack-like, and then he noticed a foul sound and noticed a human ear. He had just found the remains of 23-year-old religion knowledge student Katarzyna Zowada. Now, if I mispronounce that, I'm sorry. This case does take place in Poland, and even though I did look at many ways how to pronounce her name, everyone was saying it differently. Now, her skin was neatly cut away from her thighs and her neck, reaching all the way up to her left ear. Her face, her arms, and her nipples were still missing from the scene. Now, the report from the coroner said that her body was in the water for roughly 2 to 3 weeks before discovery. Now, pieces of her sweater and her leg were found floating among other debris and tree branches in the water as well, as they continued their search to find more parts of her. But unfortunately, besides her torso, her ear, her left ear, and her leg, no other body remains have been found. Katarzyna's mother filed her as a missing persons on November 12, 1998 because she failed to show up at a doctor's appointment that she had, and her mother went with her. Now, Katarzyna had been going through a lot of mental health issues, and she was going to see a therapist and other doctors to help her get back on track. Now, Katarzyna was also known as a loner type. She didn't really have any friends. She didn't really go out as much except to go to school and to her doctor's appointment. Police started to do their investigation, and profilers feared that this might just be the first killing of many more to come. And they were not wrong about that. There was another similar murder that happened just a few weeks after Katarzyna's body was found. On May 31st, Krakow police received a phone call from an elderly man saying that there had been a murder in his house and his grandson was the murderer. Now, the police went to the house, and when they went into the basement, they found a 50-year-old man hanging upside down. He was beheaded. His skin was skinned off his face and was made into a mask. And the murderer was Vladimir. I've seen both online. He was a Russian immigrant who had just moved to the area a few years prior. Now, after further investigation, the police found out that Vladimir, he killed him out of anger because he had cheated on his wife and then left her back home in Russia with nothing and took his father and his son with him to Poland to start a new life. Even more disgusting is that he also confessed that he wore his father's face and clothing for a whole day and pretended to be his father in front of his grandfather, who had bad eyesight, for a whole day. Now, police investigators believe that it is possible but not likely that Vladimir knew Katarzyna because they went to the same college and studied psychology. Now, I will put the name of the college right here. I am not going to even try to pronounce that because that is very, very difficult. But they were not in the same classes, and Vladimir started in 1992 while Katarzyna started at the college in 1993, and then Vladimir then dropped out a year later. Police investigators believed that he may have killed Katarzyna, but he never confessed to it. and he is currently spending a 25-year murder sentence in prison. And he started this sentence in Poland and then asked to be moved to a Russian prison, which is where he now resides and will continue on his sentencing. 1986 or 1983, perfectly normal man just decided one day to kill his wife and his son and then skin them, and he was caught while he was trying to throw their remains into the Vistula, which was the same area that Katarzyna's body was found. And he was committed into a mental institution indefinitely, which led up to his poor physical health being led to him to be paroled. And after investigation and police work, the police determined that he was not responsible for Katarzyna's murder. Now, after these two leads failed, police investigated more into Katarzyna's own life, and they found out that she had been skipping classes for 2 weeks before she disappeared. And they talked to her friends, and her friends said the only male friend that they knew she met at this place where you could sell and buy old CDs and cassettes. And they interviewed this man, and he actually had a strong alibi, and they determined that he was not responsible for Katarzyna's murder. In 2000, DNA was found belonging to another person in Katarzyna's skin, and they tested this DNA against all other suspects, persons of interest, and including known sex offenders, and there were no matches. The case was reopened in 2012, and during their investigation at this time, they had found rare plant species in her remains that were found. Now, police hoped that this could lead to an area where she was first originally dumped. And also, what was released in 2012 is that she was actually tortured before her death. In October 2017, police arrested 52-year-old wingman Robert J. for suspicion of killing, torturing, and skinning Katarzyna. Investigators had searched his apartment and found blood and other crucial evidence in his apartment, and multiple items from his apartment were taken out of his apartment for further testing. And it turns out that Robert was actually a person of interest in 1999, but there was no other action taken. Now, Robert fit the physical description of the profilers because he was trained in martial arts. He had visited her gravesite multiple times, had a history of harassing women, and also worked at a lab with human corpses. He also worked at Krakow Institute of Zoology, and on his second day he was actually fired because he had killed all the rabbits in their lab and had no explanation for it, so they let him go. Police actually detained Robert after receiving a letter from one of his friends, and the contents of the letter have never been released because it is a key role in the investigation against Robert. And he was arrested on the charges of aggravated murder and particularly cruelty. And Robert claims that he never did and has never known Katarzyna, and he does not know where this is all coming from, and he remains innocent. Now, Court of Appeals agreed to delay his detention until September of 2018 so the police could continue their investigation. While investigators gathered evidence in December of 2018, Robert complained that he was being harassed by the prison guards. And after further investigation into these claims, they were found to be baseless. Robert is still awaiting trial, and he remains in police custody. Now, there have been multiple complaints that Robert has made against prison guards, and has actually infuriated investigators and prosecutors, which they have added a new claim to the charges. They added lying to police and falsely accusing prison guards. And as of September of 2019, Robert is still remaining trial. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification down below, and I'll see you in the next video.